So recently, during a 10-day camping trip, after spending 2 days on the Bruce Peninsula, we took the ferry from Tobermory to Manitoulin Island, and something that was on our bucket list was the Cup and Saucer Trail. So I'll show you here the satellite view of the road and the two parking lots at the trailhead, and I'll just pan to the right, and you'll see that there's a plateau, and then the Niagara Escarpment goes vertical from there. So that's why they call it the Cup and Saucer Trail. The plateau is the saucer, and the cliffs are the cup part. And I guess you can see that from a distance, but you can't really see it from the parking lot. So when you come upon the parking lot, you have two options. I guess there's an upper and lower parking lot if the bottom one is full. The bottom one was pretty much full. We just waited for, we saw a couple coming off the trail, and they were about to leave. So you can see there's a lot of people either finishing or starting the trail. So we just waited, and there's two, as you can see, toilets, porta-johns, and some signage. So it's good to kind of check things out before you go on the trail, because yeah, the trail is fairly long, and I'll get into how long it is in a minute. So once our parking spot became available, make sure you bring water and proper shoes. We had our dog with us as well, so make sure you're prepared, because you're going to be on the trail for roughly 2 hours or so, depending on which route you take. There you can see there's two signs, one showing you the native name and the history behind the area and the trail, and here are the main options for the trail. So the blue is the longest, the red is the second longest, and then there's an offshoot trail called the Adventure Trail, which is not for the faint of heart, we understand, because you have to basically go straight up the escarpment on some ladders and different obstacles. So this one was hard enough, believe me. So we, under advisement and some research, we did the Red Trail. So basically it's 4 kilometers round trip. There you can see on one of the trees is a red marker. So if you kind of, I hear the markers aren't the greatest, and that I agree with that. It could have been marked a little bit better, but you know, luckily there was a group ahead of us, and if you just look for the red markers along the way. But yeah, you can see that the trail, some parts are pretty challenging, others are not too bad. But it is tiring. If you're not in the best of shape, you're going to have to take quite a few breaks. And if you don't feel you're up to it, then I wouldn't advise you to do any one of the trails, because it is a lot of uneven surfaces, and it's quite challenging. I would say moderate to, it depends, I guess, on your physical abilities, but it is quite hard to get up the escarpment. So there you can see there's all kinds of rock formations. You're basically right on the plateau and then along the escarpment as well. So signs here and there, stick to the red if you're going to do the red, which is, like I said, 4 kilometers round trip. The blue is 5 kilometers, it's quite long. And then the yellow is an offshoot, which is the Adventure Trail, and that's about a half a kilometer straight up, basically. There again, you can see the red marker. So yeah, quite beautiful scenery, shaded forest, you know, all kinds of limestone and different types of rock. Some people have carved their little messages into the rock. There's lots of moss and lichen. Great for photography along the way. Take some breaks once in a while. I encourage you to, you know, take in the scenery. Don't just focus on getting to the top, but just take a break here and there. You know, the weather really plays a part too. Like if it has been raining, it can probably be quite slippery, but we were there after a dry period, so the trail was pretty dry and pretty easy. But as you can see, you know, you're pretty much right on the edge for quite a part of the trail going up, and there's some steep stairs, and some of the rocks you kind of have to use some handholds, and it is quite challenging. And there you can see an example of certain areas where you really do have to watch your footing. You can certainly sprain your ankle if you're not paying attention. And this is one of our rest stops, so you can see our dog is panting pretty good, so we gave her water along the way. And this is at kind of the top. It does kind of flatten out, so yeah, most of the work is just getting up to the top, obviously. There is some work getting down, but we'll get into that. And it took us roughly about 45 to 50 minutes to be on the top of the escarpment and check out some of the first lookouts. So the first lookouts, you're on the kind of northern side of the cup part of the trail, and you're looking kind of towards the North Channel and maybe northeast side of the island. And there in the distance you can see a quarry, an active quarry. But yeah, beautiful view. You can see obviously on a clear day quite a distance. Now obviously there's no barriers. At your comfort level plays a part here. You don't want to get too close. Don't take any silly risks just for pictures. But there you can see some of the views of that open quarry pit. And once you get to the kind of the main lookout, this is the most popular one. There's a ledge that kind of juts out from the top of the escarpment. There you can see it. Now realize the drop is about 230 feet from certain lookouts, so you have to really use your head. Don't go right to the edge. There's always a breeze up there, and you don't want to have a gust of wind cause an accident. So we've all heard of people taking selfies and having accidents. It's not a good idea. So I think I got within 10 feet of the edge or so. I was playing it safe, and I was helping people take pictures, but obviously only if it's being done safely. So there you can see the edge of the escarpment. Really beautiful rock formations, and you're getting views of kind of the central to southern part of Manitoulin Island, and it's quite a view. So spend as much time as you want, but obviously I would recommend being safe about it and smart. And if you do have your dogs with you, make sure they're on a leash at all times, but especially around the lookouts. And unfortunately, people have, I guess, thrown rocks and boulders over the edge, so they do have these signs, kind of exercise in stupidity, I would say. There's been accidents at Sleeping Giant, I guess, where people have thrown boulders over and almost hit people down below, so don't do that. Here you can see this is kind of our descent, and it's pretty challenging again to go down some of the really steep stairs, and there's a couple of wooden boardwalks, and so just take your time. It's always good to go in a group, or at least two people, to help each other. Lots of roots sticking out and flagstone type rocks, so just take your time. Take lots of breaks if you're feeling that you've done a little bit too much work. So make it enjoyable and not so much work. Although we did see people like jogging up the escarpment. I'm thinking, oh, how can that be a good time? But to each their own. So just a couple of views here of our dog and some of the views on top of the escarpment. But the escarpment is obviously an impressive natural feature that goes from New York State all through Ontario and ends up in Wisconsin. So it's quite long. This is one of the better hikes of the Niagara Escarpment, I would say, and one of the more challenging that I've ever done. But the views are well worth it. And I did get a chance to pick up a t-shirt in Little Current, which is where you cross a bridge at the north side of the island onto the mainland. So if you're into exploring nature and really want a good challenging hike with great views, this is definitely one that I would recommend. So appreciate everyone watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Please subscribe, and bye for now.